Hey guys, Toast here. Today I want to talk about the new weapon buffs that are currently being tested on the CTE. The background footage unfortunately is not from the CTE, as whenever I try to play on the CTE, there's only EU servers with players in them, which results in high pings and lackluster footage, so the background footage is just random from the past couple weeks. Now, for those of you who may happen to be unaware, DICE has implemented a new patch on the Battlefield 1 CTE that has made some pretty major changes to all primary weapons except for the scout rifles. And this is obviously going to have a pretty significant impact on the game. In DICE's own words on the Battlefield Live subreddit, the purpose of this change to the system is to get all of the weapons to, quote, feel more powerful and to slightly reduce the disparity in raw kill time between fast-firing and slow-firing weapons, unquote. Okay, so that seems like a pretty logical goal to attain, so how is DICE going about doing this? Well, let's first discuss the actual changes in weapon stats themselves, starting with the weapons that most people tend to think are underpowered as a whole, the light machine guns. All of the LMGs are receiving a pretty substantial damage buff to both their minimum and maximum damages. The Lewis gun, Huo, and Perino are seeing a maximum damage buff from 23 to 26.5, and a minimum damage buff from 15 to 20. The Madsen MG, MG15, and MG14/17 are seeing a max damage buff from 25 to 28, and a minimum damage buff from 17.5 to 21. The BAR and Benet Mercier are seeing a max damage buff from 23 to 26.5, and a minimum damage buff from 19 to 23, and then finally the Shosha is seeing a max damage buff from 35 to 38, and a minimum damage buff from 23 to 28. Because these end up being particularly beneficial to the Lewis gun, Huo, and Perino, the horizontal recoils of these three weapons have been increased to compensate a little. This essentially takes the weapons that used to be 7-shot kills at range and turns them into 4 to 5-shot kills at range, which is much more in line with where the weapons should be most beneficial. This, in my experience so far, has turned the light machine guns into absolute killing machines and has put little doubt into their viability on the battlefield. Moving on to the SMGs, again we see damage buffs to all of them. The MP18 and SMG 08/18 see the max damage increased from 23 to 28, and the minimum damage increased from 13.5 to 15. The Hellriegel is seeing a max damage increase from 23 to 26.5, and a minimum damage increase from 13.5 to 15. The Ribby Roll is seeing its max damage increase from 23 to 28, and its minimum damage increase from 15 to 17.5, and then finally the Automatico is actually seeing no buff to the maximum damage, a minimum damage increase of 12 to 13.5, and a vertical recoil decrease of 0.4 to 0.36 degrees, and this was done to bring the Automatico more on par at close range with the other SMGs. Shotguns have also received some balancing, though not to buff them, but to make them more consistent and take out some of the randomness that dispersion ends up adding. Every shotgun now fires 12 pellets, and there are now changes to the dispersion. In the developer's own words, quote, "The dispersion is now broken down into 12 sectors, 6 in an inner circle and 6 in an outer ring. Each sector will contain 1 pellet. This ensures that all 12 pellets are more evenly spread over the dispersion cone and prevents all the pellets from bunching up in one area, which could cause lucky one-shot kills at longer distances, or could result in a complete miss." End quote. There are increases to both the maximum and minimum damages for all shotguns except for the 12G automatic, because all of the shotguns except for the 12G automatic had higher pellet counts previously, where the 12G automatic had less than 12 pellets, so it's getting a damage decrease. Finally, the SLRs are getting a buff, but not to their damage, which, according to many of the comments and posts I've been reading about reactions to the overall system, seems to be poorly received by the community, as it seems that many think that this isn't enough, particularly for the close-range weapons. I'm going to refrain from commenting on this, as I personally haven't had enough experience with the new system yet to draw any conclusions, but I will say that it's certainly a potential problem given all the other buffs. In terms of the changes themselves, all SLRs are getting a reduction to the standing ADS spread, a reduction to the spread increase per shot, and an increase in effective range. The RSC has had its 2-shot kill range increased from 47 to 70 meters. The Selbstlader 1906 and 1916, as well as the Mondragon and General Liu, have all received a 50% increase to both their damage drop-off start and end distances. The Autoloading Factory and Marksman have received an increased 3-hit kill range from 47 to 70 meters, while the Extended has received a 3-shot kill range increase from 17 to 20 meters, and a 4-shot kill range increase from 27 to 30 meters. The M1907SL has had the 3-hit kill range increased from 27 to 30 meters, and its 4-hit kill range increased from 36 to 45 meters. And then finally, the Che Regati has had the 3-hit kill range increased from 36 to 45 meters. Now there's actually one scout rifle that's received a change to the balance during this testing, which is the M1903 Experimental, which has received a minimum damage buff from 13.5 to 15, and had its 4, 5, and 6 shot kill ranges all extended. DICE has said that none of these are final values or balances, and that they're all subject to change as DICE collects information on how everything plays out, so it's entirely possible that some of the values may have even changed by the time this video is released. Now with that said, what are your thoughts on these balance changes so far and how they're affecting the game? Do you think that DICE is at least heading in the right direction with this? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content, please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, this is Toast, and I'll talk to you soon.